Hello everybody. Today's first review is going to be of the new Legends of Monkey, which I gave a 7 out of 10 to. So, not a show I will, well, because it's in the mid tier, so on Netflix, I'm kind of doing like a system where if I give it the double thumbs up, I keep it on my list. And if I just give it the thumbs up, I take it away. Or if I give it the thumbs down, I take it away, just so I don't have nearly as much on my list. It might be a show that I go back and visit for a few laughs at some point in time again, but I'm trying to keep my list, limited to the stuff that I like really truly enjoyed, like ratings between 8 to 10. So this one was just shy of that, but so 7 out of 10 for this show. So anyway, one interesting fact that I learned, because I was kind of watching the show and I was going, this looks somewhat familiar, kind of like to the game Black Myth Wukong. So don't these two stories aren't connected directly, but I guess they take from the source material of the original story called Monkey. So this took a more comedic approach to the story. Not to say that it didn't have serious moments throughout, but it definitely made me laugh throughout the show, which I think was mostly the point because in Black with in the game Black Myth Wukong, he actually is like a human-sized monkey, and in this one he's just human, but they call him the Monkey King. So you can kind of see where they took the little bit of more of a comedic approach to this. But it was kind of the same storyline, I guess, where he's fighting against the demons. In I think in Black Myth Wukong, though, is he fighting against demons or is he trying to take on gods to get all of the scrolls back? I'm gonna have to maybe go on to like a channel and watch the gameplay through from the very beginning to the end again to remember exactly how the story of the Black Myth Wukong goes compared to this. But uh, yeah, basically at the beginning of the show, he is it kind of tells like a little bit of his backstory, I guess. Like he was banished, and then obviously the demons had been ruling for 500 some plus years, I guess. Um, so kind of crazy to think that like he was their only hope or whatever. So then, yeah, 500 years later, the search for the Monkey King begins. Um, I guess they have to retrieve the obviously the sacred scrolls. That's the whole mission. So we'll actually go over the cast list because there was a huge cast list in the show, but I felt like even though some of them were like there, they didn't really play necessarily huge important roles. So I felt like these were the most important ones or standout ones, I guess, obviously. So we had Tawanda Manimo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, as Gorm, Chai Hansen as Monkey and Shadow Monkey, Emil Cockerell as Sandy, Josh Thompson as Pigsy, Lucianne Buchanan as Tripitaka, Atticus E.T. as Kato, Michelle Enning as General Khan, oh my god, uh, Fasatua Amosa as Draglin, Jared Blackenston as Font Demon, Jordan Mooney as Raxian, Dana Watterson played the Shaman, Josh McKenzie as Davari, Jaden Daniels as Gaxon, Simon Prast as Hagfish or Hogfish, Rachel House, who played Monica and Demon Queen Hakira, Joel Tobeck, who played Cranius, and then Brynjan Skillington, who played Princess Locke. So 3 of them are gods. One of them seems to kind of be, I guess, working for a demon at the beginning, and that was Pigsy, who was working for the demon at the beginning of the show, and he seemed like kind of a shady character. But I guess the demons, obviously, like the first demon we ever come in contact with is the Font Demon, and he seems like a pretty formidable foe at the beginning, but then I guess he kind of changes sides at one point in the show, which I found kind of odd. Um, but yeah, we have the gods like the obviously Monkey, and then we have Pigsy and Sandy. So Sandy's power, she can like control water and turn it to mist and all sorts of things. I never really understood exactly what Pigsy's power was, and I guess obviously, um, Monkey's was kind of more like maybe immortality, or he had like the staff and certain things like his cloud and stuff. So it almost reminds me kind of like similar to like Goku in a sense, as kind of how I picture him. But um, yeah, it was kind of interesting to just see him, work on this. And then, of course, the character of Tripitaka. I don't know if we ever really learned her real name. They just called her Girl at like the bar when she was working there. And then, of course, obviously, she has to disguise herself as a boy and pretend that she's a monk, and then go with Monkey to try to retrieve all the scrolls. Now there are 7 scrolls. Not all of them are named in the show, unfortunately, but the ones that are named are the Scroll of Knowledge. So that was when they were, I believe, trapped in the library, and then Cranius came in to try to take the scroll on them. They had the Scroll of Creation, which could be used to create basically anything you wanted. Like, you could probably raise your own army, which is obviously what the demons wanted to do, especially Hagfish. He was definitely known for his trickery. Now, he seemed like kind of like the weakest link of all the demons. Like General Khan and Gorm and the rest of them obviously seemed a lot more powerful, but I guess Hagfish kind of played stupid, but he was actually pretty smart. And then Cranius ended up being not the smartest person in the universe at all, even though he thought he was. He obviously was able to uh, kind of foresee things before they happened, but he took the wrong scroll from the library, so he wasn't necessarily that smart. I guess it turned out that Tripitaka was much smarter than him. So Gaxon was supposed to be the original Tripitaka, but then the Font Demon seems to have killed him, but I guess not. He was part of this resistance. And when they get to, where was it that they were going? Oh, Lionheart Rock, I believe, is what Monica said is where they were at when they were forming this resistance. And of course, obviously, none of the people that are in this resistance are trained, so Monkey tries to train them, but he fails miserably at that. And then, of course, I guess the scroll of, was it the scroll of creation that was, or one of the scrolls was like possessed or somewhat, or damaged somehow, and all of the weapons that they had, of course, were fighting against all of the people that were in this resistance. So it was kind of funny to watch that. And then, of course, Hagfish or Hagfish was controlling pretty much everybody, including Gorm. And of course, Gorm didn't actually have the scrolls. It was Hagfish, and of course, nobody was listening to Tripitaka on that. And unfortunately, Kato kind of, double crosses them. I guess it turns out that he was actually a bounty hunter, so he was basically just working for the side that was going to give him the most money. But in the end, I guess he decided to take a easier route out and be paid by the resistance, um, which was kind of funny because he could have taken more money from the demons, but he told Tripitaka that he met her and she kind of changed his mind on everything, right? Um, so they retrieve the first sacred scroll and they start heading west. So I think that was more, and then of course that was after I think the first scroll was the scroll of immortality, right? When they were facing off against, oh my god, because Raxian was the shaman's like right hand man, and they were trying to get him. They were trying to get everybody to write the ancient language for the scrolls, and I think that was all part of like the scroll of immortality thing. And then it was Davari that wanted the scroll of immortality, and he ended up getting it. Actually, he ended up being the first demon to achieve immortality, but unfortunately, he ends up getting trapped in this little machine that they had. And I don't really know. We never really see him again, but he was one of the ones, I guess, that kind of got Monkey kicked out of the temple like 500 years ago and got him banished, sort of thing. Now, obviously, there were a lot more people than that to blame, but he was one of the main ones. And of course, when they get back together, obviously, Monkey's going to try to take him out, right? Just for what he had done. So basically, the story was Monkey stole the scrolls. He took the 7 scrolls and scattered them across the world. Kind of, again, this is very much a similar story to the Dragon Ball Z story with the 7 Dragon Balls where they're scattered across the world. So I kind of feel like maybe one of the two drew inspiration from the other one. It is kind of funny that it's almost like the exact same storyline, just with a different character. And then, of course, when they get to Lionheart Rock and with the Resistance in Season 2, it was actually funny watching Pigsy work for General Khan. Well, I guess they all kind of did in a way, and cooking her stuff and trying to get her code to her safe or whatever to get their scrolls back. It was funny. So, and then Hagfish was able to use puppets to control everybody, and that's how he was controlling most of the demons at one point in time. And then he was able to actually use the Scroll of Creation to take part of Monkey's hair, put it onto his little doll, and then put him in some sort of, I don't know, like liquid or something, and he was able to actually create basically like a carbon copy of Monkey, which was kind of crazy. And the very last episodes where it was showing the two of them together, and he was able to copy all of Monkey's moves without even really thinking about it. I was like, okay, it's almost like he's looking in a mirror because he's fighting himself essentially. So Shadow Monkey knows every move that the Monkey King is going to make before he even makes it, which is absolutely crazy. And he had a Shadow Scroll, so I guess he was able to travel from place to place through the shadows. So it was very hard power to even try to fight against, because he was just able to poof, and he could disappear back and forth between the demon world and his own, and whatever temple. I can't, forgive me for forgetting the name of the temple, but the temple that Monkey was in, he had no powers there. I guess whoever had, I guess it must have been Queen Akira that put the curse on him or whatever years ago to be able to stop him from using his powers there. Yeah, because I guess he had turned on the people in the past. Monkey had, so it was kind of funny to see him fake turn and then totally betray Shadow Monkey. But unfortunately, the only way to defeat Shadow Monkey was to fly the Scroll of Creation, or the Shadow Scroll, into the sun, which was kind of intense, because for what this show was right up until obviously the very end, the last episode, it was mostly comedic, and then all of a sudden it was just boom, sad moment, and I was like, wow, this took a turn for sure. But then it seems like Monkey was reborn inside of an egg, and then there's this earthquake happening, and then all of a sudden the bucket spills onto Monica, and that's when she becomes the Demon Queen Akira. So was she that all along and we just didn't know? She was playing us? I'm not really sure, because it seemed like she was part of the Resistance, and then all of a sudden she's the Demon Queen. So I'm thinking they were meant to have a 3rd season of this show originally, but then it just never happened, which is kind of unfortunate, because I would have liked to have seen exactly what happened next, but I guess we'll never know, because the show only went from 2018 to 2020. That seems to be a thing with Netflix, though, is that I just wish that no matter what, whether the show's doing good or bad, that they just finished it. Actually put out a show and completed it no matter what. It just kind of sucks, because sometimes shows are doing really, really well, and then other times I feel like they just kind of drag it out too long. With Stranger Things, I watched the first 2 seasons, and I will go back and watch the whole show, probably just binge it in a couple of weeks, just to see exactly what happens. But I just feel like they've kind of dragged that out so long that all those kids that played those roles are just so old, like older, too old almost for the roles now. But I guess this is the final season of Stranger Things coming, so I guess we'll see if they decide to do anything else after that for that show. But that's just kind of my little, I guess, rant at the end here of this review. Yeah, that it just bugs me sometimes that certain shows, just because they're not doing well, end up getting canceled, and some shows that I feel like just get a lot of views, even though it might not be the best, continue on for what seems like forever. Um, but anyway, that's it for this review. 7 out of 10 if I didn't already say that, and I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.